Welcome to Your Inspired Journey. I'm Carla Andrews, and I have the wonderful pleasure of being here with Shemeka Brathwaite. She is a phenomenal speaker, a poet, and an educator. But what's beautiful about what it is that we're going to connect with is about passion, presence, and of course, productivity. She is here to help you and strategize, really making a work-life balance work for you. How are you, Shamika? I know you have so much to tell us, but I'm going to let you start off by telling us who you are and how did you get connected to doing all these wonderful things.
Thank you so much, Carla, for inviting me here today and have a moment to speak with your audience. I've been working originally in the fashion industry, and it was a passion of mine since I was a young girl. And working in the industry and having a dream, the reality, it just did not work out. I was working from 9 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night every single day.
Wow.
Yes, and I lived in
I
New York
mean,
City.
when you
Yes.
say 9 o'clock to 10 at the location, or you were doing work in between from working at home and at the location,
Oh
or
no,
you
this
were
was
at work?
now I was physically in the office working from 9 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. And what I was doing as a tech designer, I would interact with people from all over the country. So our
Mm.
offices in China, it would be 9 o'clock in the morning for them. And when they saw that I was still answering emails at 9 o'clock at night, which was their morning, they will just swarm on me and say, "Oh my gosh, we have her live here. You don't have to wait another day to receive a response." And it was never ending. Get on the train from Manhattan all the way to Brooklyn. That was over an hour commute just to wake up and do it all over again. So that was my life. It was
Mm.
really just overworked, high stress. I really did not feel I was always criticized on underperformance improvement plans where my supervisor said, "I don't even know how you even lasted this long here." So it was just that type of environment. And I really wanted for myself
Wow.
a balance.
So this was before mommy time or
This was
after?
before this was before mommy time. This was before I met my husband, before I got married. If I stayed in my previous career, I would not have time for a social life. I
You would
would
have a
not, not with
husband and
that
kids.
schedule.
Yeah. Wow. And that, look, that's another conversation in itself because that does happen where a lot of times we get so focused on our career or our work or whatever it is that we're pursuing, right? Or seeking. And then we look up and it's a different story. So it's interesting that, like you mentioned, you're working 9 a.m. You have to get there. Of course, that's a whole hour before 8 a.m. So I'm sure it doesn't take you 2 minutes to get ready, so you're at 7 a.m. possibly, right? And
Yes.
then 10 o'clock, you're leaving this office and you're heading back home, 11 o'clock. And then, I'm sure ramping down for the night, you're at midnight. So you were literally just sleeping, work, sleep, work, sleep, work. Wow.
Yeah, that was my life. That was my life for a long time. My priorities were out of order. There was one time I had went to the dentist. I had a root canal. I had to get it fixed. It went bad. I got into the office. By the time I got into the office, I just felt swelling, like in the whole, because it was
Mm.
in my upper jaw. I just felt swelling in the entire upper region. And you would think at that point, I would say, let me stop everything that I'm doing and then go home.
Wow.
I literally was still in the office working, and I just felt this peace that said, listen, if you can't breathe, you can't live. Like, that's the most important thing. And it was just like a wake up call because, like, I literally would felt everything closing in. And if I couldn't do that simple thing, nothing else mattered. So that was my aha moment, wake up moment to saying, you know what, I need to prioritize myself. I need to find work that I'm passionate about. I got to have work life balance. This is not going to work for me.
And even if it was work that you were passionate, it sounds like it was an interesting job, right?
Yep. Yes,
And
it
you
was
could be, it was interesting, right? But even if you were passionate about it, a lot of times it's the boundaries issue. There's the boundaries with life and living literally. And so I'm interested to hear, like, what made you want to stay so late. I understand that you were taking some calls, but what happened from 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. where you felt that you needed to stay? Were you going for after a promotion, or before you looked up it was 10 p.m.? Like, what was happening? Tell us what was happening between 5 and
Yeah,
10 p.m.
yes, that's a great question. So, number one, I was trying to keep my job because it was always this constant threat that if you didn't
Mm,
perform, you would be, you will lose your job. So that was a fear there. And then also there will always, in this world, especially in the fashion industry, it's a 24-hour industry. You work your full day. When your day is over, the overseas factories in China, Taiwan, India, they're starting their day. So it's this constant flow of information, questions, and work that needed to be
yeah.
done. And at that time, I did not have boundaries established on saying, you know what, enough is enough. Tomorrow's a new day. I would, pick up where I left off. So I didn't have that clear boundary. And in my work ethics, I am a recovering workaholic. I believe
Mm,
in working. So for me, it was never a 9 to 5, but more so eyes open to eyes closed type
yeah,
work
yeah.
schedule.
Or you were so focused on accomplishments. You needed
Yes.
to accomplish this task. So you were going through the list. And if the list didn't finish, you were there after. And I'm assuming that you were on salary, not necessarily getting paid by the hour, because the
Yes.
salary, it didn't matter if you worked 8 hours or 10 hours, you get the same
No.
thing. Whereas on the hourly basis, you'd end up with more, let's I guess, overtime. But you were on salary.
I was salaried, and I mean,
Mm,
I've learned over the years on how to reverse that, put systems in place, how to, so the average work day is about 7, 8 hours, and I've learned now, and it took time through hard lessons to learn how to like really maximize my day and really, implement things that I want to do and enjoy within my workday and still perform exceedingly abundantly on what it
mm.
is that I need to do on my job.
So when it comes to that drive, do you feel there was something from something you were proving to yourself, your manager? Where did the line blur between those two? What was happening emotionally where you find yourself going beyond and how long was this going for? How long was it going on, as far as working from after 5 p.m. to the 10 p.m. time frame?
You know what? And what is interesting is like as I look back, and that's the reason why I'm a peak performance strategist, because I realized that going back from high school, when I went to the High School of Fashion Industries, we only needed to make one garment for the fashion show. I think I made like 6 garments for the fashion show. Senior
Mm-hmm.
year in college, when I was a fashion design student, we only needed to make 6 garments for your senior collection. I made 12. And it wasn't because I was trying to outperform or outdo anyone. It was that I just naturally have like this drive, like this energy, like, just see how
To
far I
get it,
could
yeah,
go.
yeah.
And so I realized that skill set in school, you were rewarded for that. You were rewarded, you worked
Mm,
hard and you did that. But when you get into the world of work, it's like, especially I've learned the hard way, especially when you're working in a union environment. Once I had that conversation with my first supervisor when I started working higher ed, and he said, we never give anyone exceed expectations. We never give anyone like if it was a 10, you get a 7. And they said we purposely don't give anyone higher than that. And once I realized that, it kind of
mm.
changed my perspective because I'm like, wait a second, I'm working 3 times, 4 times as hard, harder, and we're all getting paid the same,
Yeah,
the same.
yeah.
So I just learned now how to scale back strategically and not overexert myself.
Mhm.
So I could still be a Ferrari, but I know I stay in my lane and I follow, it says drive at 55, I'll drive at 55. But I know in my potential, I could drive at 150, so
Is it,
that's
and
how I
of
look at
course
it.
that can be harmful doing 150, even a car. Driving the
Yes.
Ferrari at 150 for 6 days,
Oh
after a
no.
while, it just falls apart.
No,
So even the Ferrari goes 55 and every
yes.
so often not 90. And you get what I'm saying? It's like you can't keep
No,
up with that pace. I mean, that's
no.
yeah.
No, it's
So
bad. It's That's really bad. And then that's why, like you said, adding in like presence, understanding, be still to meditate and know and be focused and clear. So that's a whole nother, yes. And you came to a really great point. Yes, you cannot operate at that speed all the time. Yes.